Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Aaronica Cole of Aaronica Be Cole & Co. And you know what my favorite thing about being the & Co and not strictly talking about plus size sewing, and that's it, is I get to do things like make a pair of Birkenstocks on my YouTube channel. That's right, friends. That's exactly what I said. So I got in and I ordered this kit for my friend Jaimie. And in it, it came with 2 of these soles, which means that I have enough material to make, in essence, 2 of them, except I do need one more set of soles. So I ordered this kit from her. It came with the pattern pieces for me to cut out my soles with. It came with the insoles here. It came with a skiving tool. And then it has a bag of additional things that I need. So let's go in here and pull these out as well. So we've got 2 things of this cement glue. Now, if you have never done shoes before, listen, cement is going to be your bestie. I haven't finished them yet, judge someone else, because it's like 2 years old. But I made a pair of custom Jordans that I have a lot of these tools already for. This is a nail file so that we can go ahead and like smooth the edges out. This is leather needles. And then I've got 2 of these like smoother things for the cement. Smooth it on out. And then this is like a cute little buckle. How cute is that? And then she sent in, gave a pen. I already have enough of these, so I'm not going to be using this, but that's a marking tool for leather. And then I've got 2 sets of these, the Birkenstocks, and they say Birkenstock on them. She sent me 2 sets of these, I forget what they're called. Now, just for reference, I'm filming this as I am battling a hurt knee. You guys, I hurt my knee so bad, and I know it's like, Aaronica, why are you filming then? Because I was so excited about getting this because I wanted to buy a pair of Birkenstocks, but then I was like, it would even be even better if I made it. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Now, if you're like, hey girl, what are you using to make them? I actually I had an order in from Georgia Girl Stitches, which is a locally based place here in Atlanta, and she sells the scraps of leather. And so I have a bunch of leather scraps, so let's take a look at those. Okay, so I have them here, and now I'm not exactly sure about the sizing of these pattern pieces because I have not fully cut them out, but we've got an inner and we've got an outer, or an inner and an upper. Now, I feel like it's going to be really cool if I just make like a really scrappy pair of these. I think that that'll be fun. And then I've got enough to do these outers out of, actually the upper outside can fit on multiples of these, but I'm excited because I'm definitely going to use the scraps to make my Birks. Very, very excited about that. Now, Jaimie does actually provide a YouTube video that goes over exactly what you need to do in order to make your Birks, but y'all know I don't like to follow directions, so no, really. I read the instructions. I'm going to go ahead and begin to cut things out so that it makes it a little bit easier for me. I do like how on these pattern pieces, it's kind of thin, so you may not be able to see it. She has everything that I need labeled. She's got essentially the seam allowances labeled on here, which is really important because that needs to line up, of course, with our upper inners and outside pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern pieces first, and then I'm going to trace them out. And yeah, so I'll be back once my pattern pieces are cut out. So yeah, this is going to be like a little sew-on situation. Okay, so I've got all of my pattern pieces cut out. It's only 3, luckily, right here. So now what I'm going to do, because each of them has like these little dots on here that I need to make sure that I can get a pen through. I have this here. It's like a little hole punch type of deal. I was just using this seam ripper to like punch the holes, but then I was like, why struggle when I don't have to? This little thing you just push down and it makes the holes for you. I will actually be using that to make my, your girl's in some pain. But I'm going to be using that to actually make my holes inside of the leather as well, because it's a leather cutter. Now I do actually have the leather hole punch as well, but honestly, I feel like this is exactly what I need. So what I'm looking for now is just a mat that I can do this on separately, because I don't want to potentially damage my actual cutting mat. So again, I've got like all of these holes here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just punch them just so that it's easier for me to transfer these markings, because ultimately I'm going to be marking these holes with my pen. Okay, so we got one set done. And now I just need to do this over here. And these over here are actually the ones that need to be punched. The other ones that I started out with, those are the ones that need to be sewn. So all right, so now it's time to trace. I'm gonna trace my insole afterwards, but now I've got to play a little bit of, so I feel like if I do both of my upper inners in similar colors, that'll be good. And I have to remember that I've got to cut mirror images in essence. So I'm going to grab the pen to trace this now. Okay, so one of the things that I do also want to make sure that I mark is that seam allowance there. Just make sure, okay, this doesn't feel like it's marking. There we go. This pen is not like marking on here like I need for it to. Which is very frustrating, because these like markers kind of like wipe off. So you really want to use them. And then of course this fabric, this like leather is also super light colored in nature. Like, let's see, how well is it doing? Not the greatest, but and so it's not tracing in the greatest way possible. So ultimately, I'm just trying to kind of, in essence, give myself some spots that make sense, right? That I can kind of use as a guide. I hope that it like marks easier on the other side. Because I'm like, I got 4 pieces I got to do like this. Okay, let's see. I feel like I need some more on this outer side. Like, you can't be gentle. Okay, so I feel like I made this. So it's good enough for me to see. And I'm going to see if I can fit it on this side as well. Or I guess I can just flip the actual piece of paper over. That makes more sense than flipping it over to the other side does. Oh, this fabric or this leather, we're having way more success with the drawing. And I did not mark my seam allowance over there. I got to take this back over there. Oh, look at that. I don't even have to like, man, this leather works very differently. Okay. Wow, this is much better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish, of course, tracing all of my pattern pieces so they can be cut out. And then by the time that I come back, all of these pattern pieces will be traced and cut. Okay, so now we are at this point where we're at a good place. So we have our soles cut out, and so they're gonna go like this. Then we have 2 of our upper inners, which are these pieces right here. So I've got those, and then we've got 2 of our upper outers. So we're obviously going for this kind of feel with that. So now that all of the pieces are cut out, it's time for us to go ahead and skive these areas right here so that they lay a little bit more flat when it comes time to cement them in. Now, I want to be honest, skiving is just not my favorite thing, but we're going to try to make it fun. So this is the skiver, and essentially what we're doing is we're thinning out from our seam allowance down. And again, that's to try to make it as flush as possible. It can be challenging to get as close to the line as we need to be in order to really kind of thin it out. But we're going to do the best that we can. So I'm almost done with this yellow piece. And then I'm going to do it on all of the other pieces. Again, using that silver line as my guide because that is our quote-unquote seam allowance. So that's it for this yellow. And it makes a mess, y'all. And every piece you got to do it with. It's so interesting how they look because I'm using, again, a scrap pack. So it's really kind of interesting how each of these looks as you skive it. I will say that this tool makes it easier because I have had to skive leather before, and like I will say that this tool does give it a little bit more ease. I especially want to be mindful about my skiving on this like nice light piece because it's not going to look beautiful. And when you skive, of course you're thinning it, but it also makes it easier to glue it down, which is what we're going to be doing. And my goal is to get this done in kind of like one sitting, because my girl Jaimie did it in one sitting. And even though she's like a professional, I was like, if my girl can do it, so can I. I am just going to use some scissors to trim this excess away right here, because we don't need it. So boom. Our second piece is done. So I'm going to skip the rest of these others and then we'll be back. Okay, so now it's time for us to go ahead and add in our holes that we marked here. Again, I'm going to be using this little hole punch thing. Why? Because it's so easy. I'm hoping that it works through this leather, which it does. I don't know why I was doubting it, because my daughter's little ankles are so thin. So I use this to add smaller, like an additional set of holes for her in her ankle straps so that they will fit. Okay, so we've got that one done. Keeping it moving. Boom. I will say that this little tool makes it so much easier. And this is from OESD, which is an embroidery company. So color me surprised that they had this little tool. And I know it's probably like, Aaronica, why do you have this if you are a garment maker? Like, because one, I'm a unicorn now, right? Obviously. I do think I'm going to use a smaller hole for this one. If I can find my leather punch very quickly. If I can't, we're going to be using the same exact one. Okay, so it's not like popping out anywhere. Oh, got it. So now the leather punch, I am going to go see if I have, so this is a leather punch. And I'm seeing if there's one smaller. There isn't. So we're going to keep our party going right here. This is going to be holes for the buckle. Yes, we are sewing the buckle, but we're sewing through pre-punched holes. I'm not going to put a hole in the middle right here because I don't necessarily need it. That's more or less for me to just line things up with. And so I did actually have like some nylon thread already, but I can't find it from when I was making my sneakers. So I have this like little leather sewing kit. So I'm just going to take one of the threads that's in there, because also I feel like like that thread is giving like, ooh, okay. Let's see if we can do that again. There we go. Okay, because I was about to say, do I have to break out my hole punch? We're good. But I feel like the color scheme that's inside of there, I feel like is more in line with what we're doing here. So for this set, I'm going to use a bronze buckle. And I think I'm going to use like this thread to go along with it, because of course you will, dang, this is hard to pull out. Okay, so I think I might do this thread, either that one or that thread, because I feel like that goes really well with our aesthetic that we're going for here. It's giving very earth tone, very 50 Shades of Beige. JK, JK, JK. Oh, like I said, my knee is like killing me. And I should sit down and do this, but it's so much easier to do standing up. So we do have to hand sew these buckles in. So I'm going to do that sitting down. Okay. So now let's grab our buckles. So for buckle choice, I'm going for this like kind of like goldish feel. And that is supposed to be down like this. The bar is supposed to go in the middle like so. So they're supposed to be set like this on each of these sides. So it's supposed to be like this. And then we're going to, oh, that one was not faced the right way. Good thing I caught it. Oh. So now we're going to hand sew these into place. So yeah, I'm going to sit down to do this because again, my knee is kind of killing me. Okay, so before I sit down, I did just want to show you that I have doubled this up. So it's like doubled up. And so I took, it just said, so she said in the YouTube video to use about a yard. So I did 32 inches times 2 essentially and doubled it up. So now let's go ahead and sit. And so for this yellow one, I'm going to use this. And then for this orangey fabric, I'm going to use this. So let's sit down and sew. Okay, so anyone who knows me knows that hand sewing is not my favorite thing in the world, but we're about to go ahead and rock this out. Made sure that this was nice and straight. I don't need this one on here. So I'm going to go ahead and start up and go down this first one. And I'm going to go in between this first thread. Now, this thread that I'm using is, dare I say, it's a little on the complicated side because it's been like waxed or oiled or whatever, which is truly fantastic. And I actually feel very secure about using this for my shoes. But I will also say that it is not the easiest to just kind of thread through. And so we're going to go back through, oops, again, back through the middle of this to kind of reinforce that first knot. Okay. And so that's what this is looking like. I am going to trim that down and pulling it nice and tight. And so I'm only going to, because of how thick this fabric is, I'm only going to be going through literally a handful of times because otherwise it's not going to fit. Oops. What did I do here? Yeah, this is why I don't like to hand sew. No, I'm just joking. This isn't why. Here we go. Okay, so let's figure out what we did wrong there. Okay. So we're going to go back up and then back down. Yeah, I feel like we ran out of space. Through this little hole. There we go. Okay, and so this is going to be the last one that I do on this side. And so Jaimie says to just keep using the same thread for each set of holes. So I'm going to do this. I think I did it 3 times on that first one. So I'm going to do it 4 times here because, again, I don't have to like reinforce anything. So I don't need anything extra. Oh, dang. Like I was off camera the whole time. So here we go. Let's make it so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Oops, I messed that up again, not paying attention. Oops. Okay, let's see. Whew. Okay, there we go. Had to straighten that back out. Everything's fine. Trim this instead of pulling it. Okay, there we go. And this thread is so thick that it's just like having a time. Okay, and this is going to be the last time I go through this one. So this is what it's looking like here. And on the back, And I feel like I don't need to cut a new thread to even go and do this other side. So I'm happy about that as well. Okay, your girl is feeling very secure about these. This should be super fun to tie off. Okay. So I'm going to do the rest of these off camera, but I wanted to just show the way that we put this first buckle on camera, because then we're just going to control copy, control paste for the rest. Okay, so now this is going to be my last one. Oops. And then we're going to tie this off. So to tie it off, we're going to go underneath that stitch, underneath this last one that we just did, that last buckle. So I'm pushing it all the way through. And then I'm wrapping this around. Oops, dang. Yeah, I'm telling you, working with a thread that has a different weight to it is so odd. So I wrapped it around twice to kind of form this knot right here. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure. So again, oops, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Okay. And then again, making it so it's nice and tight. I feel like it's not as tight as it could be. So I'm going to pull that a little bit more tight. Boom. Now that feels very, very good there. And so this is what it looks like on this back. So I'm going to trim this, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Boom. So this first buckle, this buckle is in there, okay? All right, so I'm going to just go ahead, double knot this, and do the exact same thing 3 more times, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now we're getting ready to attach the actual footbed that says Birkenstock to the leather. So I'm going to go ahead, oops, and I'm not going to do this sitting down. I am going to head back up there, but I am going to just measure it out here. So let's take a look at what this is looking like. Okay, so now we've got each of our footbeds here. And so like this is our inner, not the right inner side, but here we go with our inner. And so on the actual footbed, it's already been marked, which is excellent. I love this for us. So it's going to come up. And so we're going to be, in essence, gluing this down here, like so. And then we're going to take our outer piece and be putting this in like that. So that is what we're going to be doing next. So I'm going to head to my desk, or rather my cutting table, where I've got my stuff out, and we're going to be gluing this together, and then we're going to obviously skip this back down just to kind of make it more flush. Okay, so now it's time for us to cement. All right, so we've got our cement, we've got our like little glue stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply, and it has to sit for 15 minutes. So I'm going to just apply my glue on the inside here, starting at that second notch and coming on down. I'll do the same thing on this side as well. And I'm going to put the top back on, even though I've got to glue the leathers next. So I'm going to spread this out because I don't want any clumping. And so the 15 minutes is going to give it an opportunity to kind of get tacky. And that's what we want. So I'm going to put it on both the shoe as well as the pieces of leather. And this is like a really strong smell. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the front door to my house so that way I don't end up getting high off of cement in my office, you know? Not on my to-do list today. Especially because your girl is not feeling 1,000% because my knee. I'm still sitting here like I can't believe that like my body is in the pain that it is. Like I feel like it has betrayed me. And I'm actually fairly certain that my body feels like I betrayed it by jumping on a trampoline before it told me that it was back to being 100%. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inside as well. According to Jaimie, it's okay in the event that it goes up above the seam allowance. But dang, I'm like a mess with this glue. So I've already done the other shoe. And it's sitting pretty, waiting for its opportunity. So we're just going to spread that out on here. And now we sit and let this wait for 15 minutes. Okay, so now it's time for us to go ahead and attach these things. So I'm going to take my inside and I'm going to make sure that I'm lining this up with that second line that is on here. And then I'm lining up the seam allowance with the edge of the foot, bed, I should say. And then we're coming straight down. And then because it got nice and tacky, this is going to be nice and easy to stick on. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the outer footbed here. Lining it up and then making sure that I'm being mindful of that seam allowance here. And then boom, putting that in place. Okay, so the next step, now those two things are together, is we're going to make the line so that we can, in essence, glue the sides up as well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, take my silver pen again, and folding this up and over, I'm going to make a mark on the shoe. And this is going to be where I put the glue at on the shoe. And so you should have a mark that's like right here and right here. If you guys can hear, I had to open up that window because y'all definitely was about to be up in here getting high on my own supply of glue. And then on the inside, I put another line, which you can see here. And do the exact same thing on this other side as well. I'm doing the same thing here. And then folding this over. And I'm pulling it so that it's nice and taut. So that way, like I'm marking in the right area. And then that's what that looks like on the inside. It looks like a little mountain on the inside. And then I'm going to glue one side at a time, being mindful that the fact that I do actually have to let it sit for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do the inner piece first. And I'm just going to put the glue down because I'm going to have to spread it out. And then I'm just going to go ahead and... Now I am making sure to be mindful that I'm not putting glue past where I marked. Y'all, this like glue gets messy. So make sure that wherever you're doing this can withstand the mess. And so now I'm in essence just like kind of painting this glue in those lines. And I'm just being mindful that I'm evenly spreading it out so that I don't have like bumps or bubbles and things like that. And I am making sure that I do have enough cement on those like areas that are going to get a lot of the stress during shoe wearing. So like right at those beginning areas. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for an additional 15 minutes before we do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so now that this has had some time to dry, I'm going to go ahead and, roll this up. And I'm, again, pulling it so that it's nice and tight. And I'm pushing this in place so that it is coming up and it's adhering together. And so this is what this is looking like on this side. Again, making it so that it is nice and adhering to that really well, because now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So yeah, that actually looks and feels really good. So let's go ahead and add more glue and put this glue on the outer sole as well, the same way. Again, I want to make sure that I have enough glue at kind of like the beginning and the end points of this, right? Because that's where it's going to be getting most of the wear. So I'm going to spread this glue on out, making sure that I also get up on the cork for the Birkenstock. And again, paying close and special attention to where this kind of stops and starts. And not going past my silver area that I have put up on here. Now I feel like I've put enough glue on here, so I'm not really concerned about the cork or anything like that. I just want to evenly spread this out. And again, making sure that there's enough glue at these areas. Y'all, this glue is so strong smelling. Okay. All right, so I feel really good about this. So we're going to let this sit for an additional 15 minutes before we go ahead and pull it up and do the exact same thing. Okay, so now that we've let that set, we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. Fold this on up, pressing it together so that that comes together really nicely. Oh my goodness, you guys. My Birks are coming together. And so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buckle it. I feel like just want to check in here, make sure. Let's buckle it together to kind of see where we are with our little Birkenstocks. And this is likely not where mine will be because I do have a chunkier foot. Although I will say it doesn't really affect my foot like when I'm wearing shoes like this. So now my little Birks, look at that. They're coming together, guys. So we've got this on here. Let's just buckle this one here as well. So boom. Okay, so these are now kind of at a stopping point in this moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these footbeds out, or not the footbeds, but the soles out, because I got to a point where now it's time for me to work on them. I do need to go ahead and file them down. So I'm going to find my little baggie and grab my nail file and file this down on both of them so that they look good, right? Now, you know, I don't feel like things looking homemade is an insult, but I do want my shoes to like look professional, right? So I'm just taking to them just like I would a regular, like if I were over here filing my nails, y'all, okay? But I will say that I actually did a pretty good job of cutting them out. Like I do feel like my scissors were really good. And also, this is like a lot of work, so you guys, I don't know how much of this we're gonna do. But we'll do it a little bit. I also have my scissors here, so we're also gonna, you know, do what we can. Again, I really do think that I did a really great job of cutting them out. So we'll just go around real easy like. Real easy like Sunday morning over here. There's a couple of spots I see I need to hit on that one. A couple more spots I see I need to hit over here. But again, there are also some things I could do with my scissors, so I'm going to do that first. Now let's file. And as we can see, this is getting messy, but whatever. I have to wipe down my cutting table anyway, so. And I will say that if you have sandpaper, that'll do a great job as well. But going around these curves, y'all, that is where it's at. So I'm just going to finish filing these. And then we'll be ready for the next step, which I believe is to just go ahead and add them too. I do think that holding it like this is kind of giving us what we want. But listen, this is smoothing it out, y'all. This is giving us that professional finish, okay? Okay, so this one is actually the footbed for this one. Just so that I can take a look and see what it's going to look like. Not going to lie. It's looking pretty good. Like that's a good looking shoe right there. But it's also making me feel like, as opposed to filing down that back area, I should be doing the foot, this area that's connecting to the foot. Because that's actually what's going to be seen. Kind of. So. Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so I feel like that's in a good spot. Yeah, all I'm going to say, I may not be able to finish some Jordans, okay? But these here Birks, I'm a mess. These Birks, yo, they are coming together. Now, this was like, dare I say like a muslin pair? Because listen, shoes are too expensive to make to actually have like a muslin. But if I were to say that I was to do a muslin, this is them. The only difference I would make in a further pair is I would choose a thicker leather to kind of make them out of. That's about it. Okay, so we're done filing. Mess. Love that for us. Now it's time to move on. Okay, so we're almost done now. So the last part that I have to do before I go ahead and glue these together, my tops to my bottom, is I do have to skive again. And where I don't have to actually skive very much because my leather is actually pretty thin. So really it's just like this yellow is thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and skive this down, obviously. And the reason why we skive at this point in time is because we want, when it comes time to gluing this top to this bottom part, we want it to be able to lay kind of like as flat as possible. And so if there's still some more areas that are like really raised with this leather, then it's not going to lay down, right? So we're just going ahead to reduce some more of this bulk. I do think that some leathers respond better to skiving than others, which is why I said that I would absolutely redo this with a thicker leather. And then like this brown could probably afford a little bit more skiving. Now, if you are skiving, please be careful and mindful of your hands. So I like took some of this area off because I feel like there is a lot more bulk down here at this edge. And so as I was filing the shoes, I was mindful to make sure that I filed down that smooth area so that way it was like easier to go ahead and make sure that we can get that cement on there really well. Okay, and now we're really at this final part where it's time to go ahead and cement our shoes together. So I've gone ahead and measured everything to make sure that they line up. And you guys, I'm loving my little scrappy pair of Birks. So now it's time to break out again our cement. We're going to cement, of course, this bottom. We're also going to cement this top part, making sure that we get the cement everywhere, especially close to that toe and around the perimeter. Really, really good. I'm going to put this on and spread this first. I honestly thought that it was overkill for her to send 2 of these cements, but you guys, we are running through this cement. So I'm going to go ahead and spread this out again, making sure I get that toe area really well. Now, this is not a time to use glue sparingly, okay? But this is like that rubber cement. So once it comes in contact with the surface that it's supposed to be glued to, that's it. It's a wrap. So just smoothing this out. And then I'm going to set this to the side again. I'm making sure I come nice and close to these edges here. See a little bit, trying to drip down. For this pair, I did use the dark brown sole option. So I do actually have the black still left over. So we're going to move this to the side because we're done with that. Let's go ahead and glue this one now. Doing the same thing, making sure that we get in those areas. Now in her tutorial, she does have you go ahead and like remark some things with silver. Except when I lined my shoe up, I didn't need to remark anything because my footbed like fully extends. Again, making sure I get these these really key areas. But yeah, what I was saying was like my footbed and my how I cut my sole, they match up really well. So I didn't have to go over or be like mindful about where I'm putting my glue. My glue needs to go all over this footbed. And again, I'm just making sure that I'm spreading this all the way out. Okay, and so we're going to put this one off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and work on this next like pair. And by pair, I mean like top and bottom pair. I'm not making a whole other pair just yet. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this next set as well. And then it'll be time to put them together. Okay, so now is the moment of truth. It's time to stick these babes together. So now I'm going to start from, oh, it's just glue. So I'm going to start from this toe. I'm not going to squish down just yet because I want to make sure that this is on well before I do. And as you can see here, like you can see my skiving marks, but I don't mind that, you know. Okay, and this feels like this is on, or rather in a good position, dare I say. All right, so now it's time to squish this down. So I'm pressing, obviously, at this toe area to kind of squeeze out any air. This is where she says to grab your mallet. And I have a rubber mallet, but y'all, I was not going outside to go find it. Because also I kind of feel like if I just, I don't know, like I feel like if I just wear it, right? And maybe not. So boom, I'm just going to squeeze. And then I'm going to get like a plastic. Okay, so no, I'm going to put it on my foot. And I'm going to use my weight to hold that baby down in place. All right, guys, that's it. My Birkins are ready. So I will show my finished product in a second. Okay, so let's briefly talk about it, right? So I made my own Birkenstocks, and y'all, I'm so proud of myself, especially because I made these in probably about 3 hours. And I feel like that's a good amount of time for these. I used a scrap pack of like leather scraps to make them. So we've got like this camel and yellow on this side, and then we've got a darker, like a taupe, and then this coral color on this side. And I used, of course, the Birkenstock kit from Jaimie. And I'm going to make sure that I link it below, because now let's get into a review of the pattern itself. While these sit and cure, because I cannot wear them just yet, but I do feel like I did an exceptional job. Like, your girl might need a job working for Birkenstock, okay? Because those came out really cute. I do see why she was like hammering things down, so I'm still going to be holding them into place. So let's get into a review of the kit. So the kit came with everything that I needed besides the thread as well as the leather. So it came with the sole, it came with the footbed, and it came with the basically everything else that I needed. So on that end, I think that that's fantastic, and it made it so much easier for me to go ahead and make, because, you know, if you have to go and gather supplies, and you're going to be like, oh, never mind. Just like if you have to get charged for shipping, it's like, you know, I actually don't even need those things anyway, as it turns out, right? The written directions I felt were really good. So she also has a YouTube tutorial that goes up with it, which I felt like was better. Only because if you are new to shoemaking and you're a visual learner like myself, sometimes the written instructions just don't demonstrate everything that you need to do. Now, because even though I'm not like, your girl is not like an accomplished shoemaker, right? Because my first pair of shoes is still being finished. We're not here to judge. We're here to keep it real. But I will say that I found the instructions really easy. Again, I finished these in like an early afternoon, right? Like I still have 20 minutes before I have to leave and go run carpool. And I feel like that is a successful day, because I also filmed for both, not just YouTube, but also for my Instagram as well as my TikTok shorts. Right. So we have short form content as well as long form content. And I was able to complete the shoes while I was creating both. So I feel like that is like a plus. Like I could probably even make them faster if I wasn't creating content at the same time. Now, I will say that I do believe this is a pattern that is going to be on repeat for me. Why? One, I love Birkenstocks. I just have never felt like I wanted any of the styles that they had, right? So, like, even though your girl is crunchy and your girl loves all of these more sustainable and very earthy sorts of things, like, I like them with a little bit of extra along with them, right? Like, I like that. So, I like that I was able to make these myself. I've got my very own Jesus sandals. One thing that I do think that needed to be included inside of this kit, and I think it would be really helpful, is if there were clamps, so that way, like as these shoes were drying, they could be clamped down and held together better with the cement. That is the only thing that I feel like should be added. I have seen like the shoe kits that come along with the leather, which I feel like is cool. But if there's not a leather that you want, then it almost becomes a thing of like, you know what I mean? Like, then it limits your creativity, it limits your style. Whereas, like, when you have your own leathers, then you're able to really make something that is going to be similar to your style. So as far as the kit goes, there's only one addition that I think that I would make. Let's see. I don't remember what the pricing is, so let me go ahead and pull that up for us. As I pull that up, let's see. So create. Actually, let me just pull her up on Instagram and see what the pricing for this was so that I can tell you how much these cost to make. And her Instagram handle is So Create by Jaimie. And she also owns a shoe brand that's called Black Linings. So let's see. This kit was $220. And for $220, it came with everything minus the thread as well as the leather. Now, I did already have the thread. The leathers were gifted to me. Actually, no, I paid for them. That's right. I did pay for these leathers. So, and she sent enough material, not material, but enough supplies for me to make 2 pairs. So if I do need to buy the soles. Those are $55 off of her website. So I can always make another pair, and I already have enough. Like I have a whole other thing of cement that has not been opened. So I feel like it was really worth it because for $220, or even if I were to add like an extra pair of soles in there, for under $300, I can get 2 pairs of custom made Birkenstocks, which I feel like is a fantastic price because I have another set of the buckles as well. Right now, my shoes are going to cure for about 24 hours. I do think that I actually have shoe lasts. So I'm going to put my shoe lasts in here because it is weighted so that it'll go ahead and weigh down those that glue and that cement so that it can be in there really good. Is this a pattern that I would recommend? Absolutely. Hands down, if you are a lover of Birkenstocks, then I would absolutely recommend this product for you. And I do think that it was worthwhile. I will also say that I am someone who will likely go ahead and buy my next pair of Birkenstock soles. Now, Jaimie does also sell heels as well. So I feel like that, even now that I've gone through a pair of shoes with her, I would absolutely do it again. Like I said, I thought that her instructions, they made a lot of sense. And you know, I don't like to read tutorials, but they made perfect sense to me. I do think that her YouTube video going through was the perfect complement to the actual written instructions. So yeah, but will I do this again? Again, yes. Sign me up. I will be making another pair of Birkenstocks. I already have another set of leathers that I think I just might decide to make it from. Who knows? But with that, I feel like that is fantastic. We're gonna let my Birks sit and finish curing before they get worn tomorrow. So thanks for joining me. And as always, make sure that you have liked, commented, subscribed. I put the links below if you're interested in purchasing your own kit and DIYing your own Birkenstocks. I have also included the link to Georgia Girl Stitches, where I got my leathers from. Again, I do recommend going with the thicker leather for Birkenstocks, just simply because I think that, like, I don't know, it feels like they're real flaccid. Like, no one wants flaccid anything. Okay. But yeah, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz. And I will check you all at the next video. And I hope that you enjoyed this one.